Hi, I'm Janiessa Norris, and this is Define Design. The advancements of AI have shifted the job market for many who have excelled within the content design profession. And in the spirit of turning problems into opportunities, I think it'd be worth it to highlight some areas of content design where our skills could transition. Now, I know some of these are obvious, such as becoming a PM or a copywriter or even a UX researcher, but we're still allowed to think outside of the box. Also, if you think that a content designer and a copywriter are the same thing, I am so glad that you're tuned in. You're going to learn so much. Thanks so much. Okay, so today I'm chatting with former colleague of mine, Michael Ware II. Now, Michael is a content designer and multi-hyphenate storyteller who has spent the last 5 years with Microsoft. He has supported various products and services across the Microsoft ecosystem and found ways to gain leverage, drive impact, and improve the user's experience along the way. Tune in as we explore how he transferred content design skills for film. We'll delve into topics such as networking, collaborating in a fresh environment with a new project, and strategies for effectively utilizing feedback. Let's tune in. Hey everybody, I am here today with the wonderful Michael Ware, and I am excited to talk to him about other areas that our skill sets as content designers are necessary or have such a great impact. So, hey Michael, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Today is a wonderful day. I'm super excited to be here with you. How are you?
I am great. Thanks so much for asking. All right, so today we want to get into our skill set as content designers. Everyone knows us as the writers in the room, or the proofreaders, the editors, what have you. We're the ones that focus on the communication of things and how the story is being told, whether it's the story of the product or the story of the user, depending on the task that we have. So let's discuss one of those big things that's happening within the world of content. There are a lot of layoffs happening, and there are many people being impacted by these layoffs, myself included.
Ourselves included.
However, very much so, ourselves included. But that, that did not stop us. That was just like, ooh, let's turn this problem into an opportunity. What are other spaces that we can go into that may not be very parallel to the space that we're currently in? And I had my ideas, you had yours, and we totally went in two different directions, such as me having this show. And I just want to have a moment to discuss some of the spaces that you've been in and you've discovered.
Yes. So I have to first give a little bit a background about myself. So I studied sociology in undergrad. And so for me to even go into content design, a lot of people's minds were like, what are you doing? But on the other side, like people from outside of content design, but the content designers were like, oh wow, like thank you, because now you have somebody who is like data centered, data oriented, who has a passion for technology. So I already came in like being able to marry the two and very much at an interesting point, at an interesting intersection rather. So when it came to exploring other facets of content design, I was like, okay, I've done big tech. I can go back into it, but I also want to continue my journey of storytelling. So for me, I started screenwriting actually while I was still at our previous employer. And it was just like something to do for fun. It was a hobby. But as momentum built, the same day that I got laid off or the announcement was made was the same day I had a screenwriting deadline. So I was like, this is interesting, kind of peculiar. Like maybe this is a sign. So for me, after that kind of gave me some upward momentum, it puts a little bit more fire behind me. And I kept pushing, I kept going, and I furthered into storytelling, content design for the screen.
That is amazing. I mean, like, because how many of us take that time to say, you know what, this hobby could really be something. This is just not something that I like to do in my spare time or to share with my close friends. this is something that I could actually market or profit from, or just broaden my horizons in learning how to engage and tell different types of stories. I really want to dive a little bit more into how are you able to navigate those waters with coming out of a big tech industry and then going into a lot more of a liberal arts world, and how are you able to know, okay, these are my skills and these are how they are valuable in this space? Because I know you mentioned some key terms like data, for example. That's big in the tech space, but that might be scary in the liberal arts space, is what I'm going to refer to it, to the film space, because there's a lot of different arts going on over there. And I don't want to, not give anyone a shout out. So everybody's important, but
Yeah.
like, how do you go in there and know that you also have that importance? And how are you able to leverage, learning the jargon, I guess, or understanding like how does this world interact with one another?
So I would say being a content designer in big tech, we deal with a lot of data storytelling. So we have to translate these white papers, these large data sets into digestible and tangible, actionable descriptions, error messages, any form of copy or text that our consumers interact with. I took all of that into, and also to what big tech moves fast. I took all of that into the entertainment field with like, okay, I'm adaptable, I'm flexible. I know how to like quickly learn and learn on the spot. So for instance, you and I know that today you may be working on one project or a feature and you've been maybe working on that for like 2 months or 3 months. And then tomorrow after review season or something happened, they're like, okay, we're going to put you on a higher stakes product so that you can get more visibility. And with that being said, oh yeah, we're shipping next week. So we need you to produce something. And so that I took that all of that together, like be able to distill like large data sets and large bouts of information, being able to like move fast and adapt quickly. I took all of that with me into screenwriting. And so for me, it was first like understanding the lay of the land, like, okay, who are my key players? What roles are even available? Like, yeah, I said I'm a writer, but I had to learn about producing. I learned about directing because I was like, do I also want to write? Like, I love to write, yes, but do I want to do that? I just did that for 5 some odd years. And then also too, I figured out, okay, do I want to pick up a camera again? In my previous life, I was a photographer. So do I want to get into directing photography and lighting? Do I want to get into the electrical side? So I'm in a new world and I'm like, where do I want to apply these skills? And so for me, I felt the best way to apply the skills was world building. And world building is specifically for me at least would be producing and also screenwriting. And so for me, I wanted to distill these great and grand ideas that I have and figure out how to make them like come to life. And so with that, I networked. Whenever there was a film event that came across my feed, whether it's paid, well, I did. I went to a film festival. So I went to film festival. I networked. I went to panels of people who are doing the things that I want to do, or panels of people who may have a similar background and they're also doing it. So I networked with them. I asked for coffee dates. The thing I did that was able to give me my job in tech, I did the same thing. I asked for coffee dates. I networked. I sent emails, thank you emails. I followed up. And I was never like, hey, I want to do this. I'm going to send you my screenplay. I need you. It's now your job to bring this to life. It was more of a, hey, who are you? Let's get to know each other, because at the end of the day, whether it's getting into tech, thriving in tech, whether it's getting into the entertainment field, all of these are networks and all of these are relationships. So I have to bring this back. It was about relationship building, and it was about knowing the path that I wanted to take. It was about exploring the paths that I could take. And it was also about knowing the skills that I have and how could I leverage them for greater success.
And to give clarification to the audience, we formerly were on a team together.
Hmm.
Those were the same skills and methods that you utilized in that content design world as well, with getting to know people, building that network, sharing information, hosting those design talks that we would have, helping others, getting help with others, saying what your needs are, being clear about that for people to just say, hey, I've been working on this project and I want to tell you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing how to target what is important to the executive manager level, for what I'm doing so many steps below them. Okay, I can figure that out now that I figured it out. I'm going to book this call and we're going to
Mm-hmm.
chat, and now it's a regular thing. And those are the things that allow you to grow within your craft in so many ways. And honestly, I think it's a beautiful way to say, that's what helps you consistently grow, even outside of your profession,
Right.
because you're just like, okay, well, let me send it a note and let's have a coffee date.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I know I learned, I want to say like undergrad, whenever networking comes and you're like, okay, well, I just know I need help, but I don't know how to address this person. That's when you ask them questions about
Truly.
themselves. And you just say, hey, I have this interest and I see that you've been doing this for this long. I'd really like to know your story. You can
Mm-hmm.
just say it plainly that way.
Truly.
And let me tell you, they will take their 15 minutes of fame for sure.
Truly.
Never
Truly.
have I ever not had a person not take their 15 minutes. So anyone out there that is afraid of like, how do I approach? Start with that. Ask a person what their story was on their journey in the area that you're interested in. And that's a great icebreaker to get started. So thank you so much for sharing that
Yeah. Can I
with
add something?
initiating and building those relationships. Sure.
I'll say even if you can take it a step further. Like so, for instance, if I know that I'm going to go meet with an executive or a producer or somebody, I would do a little bit of research on them, see if they've done a couple talks and they already talked about their background. So then, really, now I can get into the specificity of it. Okay, so I saw that you had a moment where you lived in Canada for 5 years because you really wanted to dive into the culture before you took a next step. Tell me about your time in Canada. I'm really interested in just like culture as a whole, and then you tie it back to like how you're interested in it because now it's start for them. What it shows is okay, this person they will do their research, they'll do the hard work, they're coming prepared, but at the same time, it's showing like I like this person. We have something in common. And then whenever you send that follow up thank you email, you can reference that and say, hey, love talking about Canada. You gave me so many great tips about it. I cannot wait to apply this and keep you updated. This is a continuous conversation that we're going to have ongoing. And at the same time, this is now a relationship that we're both interested in investing in. So definitely.
Absolutely. That is some really great advice. And it doesn't have to be anything professional. For example, say you want to be a content designer and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody that does that. And you see somebody online and they live on the other side of the country, but they're a content designer and they've been doing it for years. And I had this real life experience. There was this woman and she had been doing it for years. And I'm like, I don't even know like what to talk to her about. I'm looking at her page. No commonalities. Okay. And I was like, well, I saw her post something about baking. I said, you know what? There it goes. Okay.
There it
Hey, how
goes.
you doing? I see that you have baking data. It could be anything, because people have other passions. So, you could meet somebody, your mechanic, you never know. Just having those conversations and being able to allow people to shine and see, okay, these are the steps that they take. Let me look at my own life. What steps can I take so that I can further myself? What's available to me? It doesn't always have to look exactly the same, but it does give you insight. And honestly, that's more than enough. And sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but it's absolutely the truth. It absolutely is more than enough. And
Right.
I want to ask you about like once you're in these spaces and keeping those relationships going and spreading, talk about like that first experience with collaborating with your TV writing and you're working with a new team. I'm curious about how was that with collaborating, with understanding the different needs of each member and how they were fulfilled.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say when I was in tech, I was an IC, an individual contributor. So I didn't manage anybody. I did my work and I went home. I'm playing. But no, truly, that's what I did. But now on the other side of it, I feel like a manager in the sense of I have to manage relationships with different key stakeholders and making sure that we're all, I have synergy, that making sure that okay, I met 5 different people who are all directors, who are all producers. Who will be the best person to A, even just care about the project, B, to fall in love with the project, and then C, somebody who will want to invest in the project. So for me, it's like now I'm doing different people management, and then going into that, being in those relationships and managing those relationships, having a North Star helps. And so now we're getting into like OKRs from tech. Like your objectives and key results, like what is it that we want to complete? Okay, yeah, you have a TBI, but do you want to first or do you want to create a proof of concept, which is like a short video, maybe like a short film or a webisode we want to just make sure that this idea works? Do you want to do a table read so that you can hear how your script sounds? Because it sounds one way in your head, but when actual actors bring it to life, now you get to hear the inflections. You get to hear if certain parts are too short, where in your mind you were like, oh, this is dragging on. But in reality, it's 4 lines. Like it can go on maybe a little bit longer, or it's 3 pages and it can be condensed into 4 lines. And so I think like those are the different things. It will be like, okay, what do we want to do as a team? Like, what are we trying to accomplish? And then now that we know what we're trying to accomplish, truly it's about timelining and budgeting. Again, going back to that managerial aspect, like, do we have the budget for this? Do we have the time for this? Because truly now, time is money. It seems like the economy is in a special place right now. And so when it comes to moving your dreams forward, you have to be really intentional. And when it comes to getting things in front of people, sometimes you really only get one chance. So if I make a proof of concept, if I write a screenplay, work on it as much as you can before trying to push it to the next level. So when it comes to like working with people, definitely making sure that y'all are on one accord and that y'all have the same intensity. You need that fire behind you. Because I would say I worked with a couple of people who I was passionate, and no shade, they weren't.
I've had that too, especially in a creative space where I'm trying to build something. Because for a while, I've had previous projects where it's like, okay, I'd like to do this podcast with a co-host. That was a clear sign of a no-no. It was just like, you have to have the same passion. You have to enjoy doing it or want to do it, be curious about it. And if you don't have those certain things, then you're going to feel like I'm bothering you all the time. And I don't want to feel like I'm bothering you. So yeah, that's definitely been a hurdle with the creative space, I would say. But you called out some really key points like budgeting, being more of a manager, understanding everyone's needs, and then having that alignment to be. It's the same thing in the tech space, whereas the designer is creating things, the engineer is creating things, the PM is reviewing things or creating things. They do so many different things. Right. And from the research space, right, and know like, okay, this is what I think we should do based on this need, this complaint, and this desire.
Right.
And feeling as though, okay, these people are actually going to listen to me and we're going to work together to solve these problems. So knowing that all of those skills carried straight over really smoothly, it's sounding like, into this film space. And I'm excited to see like your work and how it comes out. Because, I've been asking questions anyway, just because I got it out. I was like, are we progressing? But you've been the same way with my podcast. Like, are we progressing? And so, yeah, yes. It's a journey. It's a journey for sure. Sharing your work. Because I know it's different at this point.
Truly,
because we're just the employees in a tech space. So it's like, I sent it in. Hey, they have it. Look, we're going to see what happens.
Okay. Hey, I'm waiting on the research team. They're doing research right now. I'll get back to you when I have it. Yep. Yeah.
So this one is a bit different. It might be a bit more real time once it's shared with public. Then you get to see like, how are people feeling about it? Is there a hashtag about my project? Hang on the hashtag. Here.
I love a good context and I love background. But for this moment, I'm going to provide contrast. So in this, I guess it's still context. For when it comes to tech, we don't own anything. We're getting paid, and at the end of the day, this is for the company. They own all of it. On the flip side, so when we don't own anything, you don't really have like certain attachments to it. So for me, I created it, we submitted it, it's out of our hands. Yeah, we'll get the feedback. And I will say some people I know, they got really invested in their products and they will take things personally. That's one thing I did not do. I didn't take things personally. I would get the feedback and I would say, okay, cool. Like, we love to break things and take. We move fast, we break things. That's the whole mantra. So for me, it was like, okay, it's broken. Wonderful. Now we have an opportunity to fix it. Now we're getting customer feedback. I love a good feedback. And somebody, when I was working in retail, they said feedback is a privilege. Not people don't have to give you their perspective. They don't have to give you. They don't have to tell you what's going wrong, going right. They don't have to say I'm proud of you. They don't have to say this worked real well. This is my favorite project. So that's one thing I'm taking with that feedback is a privilege. So prior to it getting seen, I'm meeting with certain people now like, hey, I want to put this script in front of you. Can you give me your feedback? So then now it's this isn't working. Great ending. We need to work on the beginning or a little bit. Or you have some really interesting characters and you have some characters that are just showing up to resolve conflict. And so knowing all of this in the back of my head, when I get to the page, I can be really intentional and say, this is going to be what XYZ is doing the whole story, or now I'm going to merge these two characters because budget, for the budget purpose, why we're going to pay for two actors when we only need one actor, or instead of giving them a whole storyline, we may just need a voiceover here. We may not need them to have a full plot line. And so when it comes to that, I get preliminary feedback from people in the industry. And I know for movies, they'll do test screening, so then you get more feedback. But later on, my plan and hope, because people have not yet seen my work, is that whenever it comes to the public feedback, it's 100% that, I mean, everybody also has an opinion that's not always constructive. So it's distilling that information. Once again, going back to content design, like knowing what information to like take with a grain of salt and what information to really say, okay, I see that. And like they actually understand the story. And even if somebody don't understand the story, like that's really good feedback. So next time, because the thing is, like, we're not going to just do it once. I think that in life, people really give you two opportunities. They give you an opportunity to experiment, and then they give you an opportunity to like prove yourself. That second time, that's when we're going to make sure that second opportunity is, hey, we listen to the feedback and we apply the feedback. So make sure you watch the sequel, because at the same time, people want to know that there was growth. And now also going into this industry, knowing that I don't, well, it's the opposite of like, I came from somewhere where I don't own anything, but now I own things. So it's also about protection. It's about ownership. So, hey, before I also send my things out to people, I copyright them, because people will steal your stuff. People listen for your stuff. Like, okay, you go out and pitch your things like, oh, I'm eager and like I'm excited to tell you things. I mean, even I did this when after I got laid off, a couple months had passed and I got back on the page after I got a couple pages of feedback from somebody. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to keep everybody up to date and let them know like what's going on. So I get on TikTok and I make a video like, hey y'all, I saw this tweet last night that everybody wants a next rom-com. I'm creating it. This is the story. These are the characters. When I tell you, my cousin texted me so fast, like the video probably was up for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. She's like, I hope you copyrighted all your stuff. She's like, you need to copyright, trademark, or take that video down, because people will steal your ideas. When I tell you, I ain't never went to the copyright website so fast. I did research on how to copyright, how to trademark. When I tell you, I don't know if I had $5 in my bank account. I did. But still, I would have paid whatever, I would have did whatever it needed to do to make sure I protected my work, because like she said, like people will steal your stuff. And then I just came from a conference. That's why I have the wristband on. And that was something else they said. People were like, copyright, protect yourself. You don't allow yourself to be put in a position to be taken advantage of purposefully, intentionally. Okay, so I would say those were like the main things, was definitely like making sure that now that I'm in a place of ownership, that I'm also like doing my due diligence and making sure that I'm protecting myself and putting up those guardrails. And then at the same time, when it comes to feedback, taking things with a grain of salt. And even if when you read the initial feedback, if it upsets you, like take a beat, like take a pass, because like this is your baby. You spend so much time with it. But at the same time, I know when, like for music artists, they say I gave it to the world and now it's no longer mine. It's for everybody to experience. So I just offer that offer that to creators who are transitioning over or creators in general.
You gave us so much insight on the different transferable skills that content designers have and obtain and the different spaces that we can go in. It seems as though the sky is the limit, truly. And I just want to give you an opportunity if anyone wants to reach out to you to continue the conversation, if they'd like to move into film for perhaps and they want to discuss things with you about your starting or anything that we've mentioned on the show, how would they reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out via social media, first and foremost. And on social media, you'll find me at Michael Michael, where WAREII, across literally all social media, including the TikTok if y'all want to watch the video, child. But yeah, I'm very much accessible via LinkedIn. The other social medias notifications are off, but when I see them, I will reply. So yeah, so definitely if you want to get in contact with me, LinkedIn, you can get in contact with me via social media or via email. And also the website is coming, so that'll be another way. It would be michaelware.com.
All right.
Well,
Microware.com coming
michaelwareii.com.
soon.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Yes, we cannot leave out
Because
that
Michaelware
I.
is my daddy, not
Okay, because
me.
you said that's your same name on all. Uh,
Hmm.
that's how my uncle was. That is so funny. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, thank you so much, Michael. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed our conversation.
That was Michael Ware II. I hope that this conversation enlightens those that may be experiencing a layoff during this time. Keep in mind, your possibilities are still endless if you allow them to be. During our chat, Michael and I focused on ways to navigate networking in a digital space. His ideas on methods to continue relationships are key to building a professional community. Other topics we've discussed highlight ways to transfer your skills into any area. If you're interested in continuing this conversation with Michael, I've placed his information in the show notes. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to like or subscribe on the platform of your choice. This show was hosted and produced by me, Janiessa Norris, while post production and editing is done by Digital Sunflower. Until next time, turn your problems into opportunities.